Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with Cho Jing kidnapped and tied to a chair by two criminals. They notice Cho Jing's expensive clothes, and think they'll make a good ransom. Just as they're about to make the call, they're suddenly attacked by someone with a hammer. They didn't know that the man they captured was actually an assassin named Nobleman. Boss Cho arrives and sees the bodies of the two kidnappers. He realizes something is wrong, and tries to escape, but the door is already closed. Before he can react, Nobleman shoots him in the hand, causing a lot of pain. It turns out Nobleman and Cho were old friends. Cho pleads with Nobleman to spare his life, and offers him money, but discussing money with a friend doesn't sit well with Nobleman. To make matters worse, Cho also insulted Nobleman by dirtying his shoes. Nobleman then calmly puts on a coat, and holds a screwdriver, telling his old friend that he must finally meet his fate, and kills him. In a thrilling boxing match, Marco, who is also an assassin, is one of the competitors. Nobleman attends the match, and appears to be highly interested in Marco's performance. After a series of intense punches, Marco manages to defeat his opponent. He is rewarded with a substantial sum of money. It turns out Marco is a Kapino, a person of mixed Korean and Filipino heritage. His father had abandoned him and his mother, when he was just a child. Now his mother is seriously ill, and urgently needs money for a crucial surgery. This desperate situation is why Marco is so determined to earn money by any means necessary. The next morning, Marco visits Uncle Park, who he hired to help him find his father's whereabouts, but their search has yielded no results so far. Marco goes to the beer club, where he finds out the highest odds are on Burley beating Chelsea, with odds at 1 to 150. Marco decides to bet all of his remaining money on Burley. While he's at the club, a bearded friend approaches him, and suggests robbing a gold shop, promising it to be an easy way to make money. After the game, Burley ends up losing 0 to 4, leaving Marco with no other option. He reluctantly calls his bearded friend, to go ahead with the plan to rob the gold shop. As Marco struggles to break the lock at the gold shop, he suddenly gets attacked from behind. It's an ambush. He puts up a fierce fight, but their numbers overwhelm him. In desperation, Marco reaches for his gun, but luck is not on his side, it's empty. With no other choice, he decides to make a run for it. Witnessing the plight, the bearded man also flees the scene. Marco is convinced he might not make it out alive, but then he accidentally collides with Yoon-joo's car. This encounter forces the pursuers to back off. Yoon-joo takes Marco to the hospital for scans and blood tests. Fortunately, all reports are normal. In a surprising and generous gesture, Yoon-joo hands him an envelope of money. Marco is struck by her beauty and kindness. Discharged from the hospital, he receives a call from Uncle Park, who has crucial information about his father, revealing that Marco's father has also been searching for him. When Marco returns home, he is greeted by a man, who introduces himself as Kang, his father's lawyer. Kang explains that Marco's father is currently very ill, and unable to travel. As a result, he has arranged for Marco's passport and visa to be prepared to go to Korea to meet him. Additionally, a nurse has been hired to take care of Marco's mother during his absence. Meanwhile in Korea, Marco has a brother named Director Han, who doesn't seem to be a good person. The company he is involved with is under investigation by the press, and Han is deeply troubled by the situation. Marco's father, who is bedridden, expresses his anticipation for the arrival of the son he has been missing for so long. Marco finds himself seated in the business class. Everything feels unfamiliar to him, and he's adjusting to the experience of flying for the first time. To his surprise, assassin Nobleman is also on the same flight, and approaches him, claiming to be his friend, and implying that he knows Marco's lost father very well. Nobleman whispers something about their true purpose in bringing him back to Korea. Marco is left bewildered by Nobleman's cryptic words, which start to arouse suspicions in his mind. Upon landing, lawyer Kang makes a phone call to a mysterious girl, suggesting the bearded man has been killed. It becomes evident this whole situation has been orchestrated to target Marco. The mysterious girl is sitting with another girl, Marco's younger sister, Ga-young. The next morning, two newspaper owners who published the investigative article aim to meet Director Han find themselves in a precarious situation. They seem to have angered Director Han greatly. Without any hesitation, Han brandishes a gun and shoots the first man. Han then turns to the second man and gives him a grim choice. If he reaches the forest in the distance in time, then his life is safe. Count of 3 begins, but when Han reaches the count of 2, he starts running. Han however shoots the man in the head, ensuring he doesn't make it to the forest. Marco is driving when he notices another car passing by. He thinks it might be a race, but to his shock, he realizes it's assassin Nobleman. his friend from earlier. His initial reaction is to curse, but when he sees Nobleman pointing a gun at him, panic sets in. The car loses control and crashes into the roadside. Marco regains consciousness and witnesses Nobleman killing the two individuals in the car. As Marco exits his own car, he finds Nobleman waiting, unfazed by the chaos. Nobleman greets him casually, mentioning their conversation on the plane about Marco coming to Korea to meet his end. Fearing for his life, Marco attempts to flee, but Nobleman takes a shot, narrowly missing. Marco desperately runs, but to his horror, he sees Nobleman in pursuit, who taunts him, suggesting that running on two legs against a car is futile. In a daring move, Marco jumps down onto a road below, narrowly avoiding being hit by a truck. However, Nobleman also takes the leap, continuing the chase, maintaining his carefree attitude. Meanwhile, Han's henchmen inspect the car and discover only two lifeless bodies. Han's plans are spiraling out of control. The henchmen demand a hefty 10 million ransom for Marco's release, and Han agrees. In the midst of the chaos, Marco tries to call Kong's lawyer's office for help, but the mysterious girl answers. He finishes his call and notices Nobleman's car approaching. Nobleman confidently suggests they race again, with Marco running below, and Nobleman leaping onto the roof of the car. They challenge each other to see who can run faster. Marco, a former boxer, manages to escape Nobleman's pursuit once more. Meanwhile, Nobleman reaches the mysterious girl's car. Frustrated, he orders her to reverse the car and follow Marco. Curious, the mysterious girl asks Marco if he recognizes her, and he realizes that she is Hoon-jung. He questions her true identity, but she ominously replies that he will find out before his end. While they talk, the mysterious girl's car passes by Director Han's car, who spots his brother and orders his driver to chase after Marco. As the chase intensifies, Han informs Marco that it's their brother who's pursuing them, and he's the one responsible for bringing Marco to Korea. Nobleman continues to chase Marco, suggesting they race together to see who runs out of energy first. A sudden sharp turn causes one of the cars to overturn, but Nobleman manages to correct his steering just in time. As they confront each other, Nobleman opens fire, but his shots miss due to Yoon-jung's intervention, who quickly seizes the opportunity to drive into a forest and hide, allowing Marco to escape. She takes a moment to share important information with Marco. She reveals his father is the CEO of a large company, but is suffering from a severe heart condition. Despite his wealth, he never tried to find Marco before because his current wife tricked him into signing a will that disinherits Han. Marco's father's intention in bringing Marco to Korea is to use his heart for transplantation. Nobleman's car eventually catches up, but Marco seizes the opportunity to escape the gunfire. However, his luck takes a turn for the worse, as he's cornered by his brother Han, who has orchestrated Marco's capture, and takes him to their father's place. Han instructs Marco to get comfortable, but he notices their father is tied up. They proceed to meet their father, with Han emphasizing that this is Marco's first and last chance to see him, and suggests taking a photo to commemorate the moment, before the doctor administers an anesthetic to Marco. With Marco unconscious, the operation to extract his heart is set to begin, that will take approximately 9 hours. The tension and stakes continue to rise in this complex and dangerous situation. Marco unexpectedly wakes up, realizing the anesthesia didn't work as intended. He questions the nurse, but before he can understand what's happening, the nurse stabs the doctor, and kills one of the bodyguards. Chaos ensues in the room. 2 more bodyguards rush to investigate the commotion, but the nurse swiftly deals with them as well, closing the door to handle them discreetly. Nobleman enters the room, recognizing Marco. He urges Marco to hurry, because they're short on time. Han and his henchmen arrive at the door, and Han confronts Nobleman, blaming him for the 10 million ransom demand, and threatens him with death. However, Nobleman doesn't budge, and instead points his gun at Marco's head. Nobleman warns Han to stay calm, or he'll shoot Marco, preventing them from obtaining his heart. Trying to negotiate, Han offers $5 million in advance, claiming Marco is not worth the full amount. In the tense standoff, Marco's sister takes action. She pulls out a gun, and appears ready to make a crucial decision. As the gun battle erupts in the room, Nobleman manages to escape just in time. Thankfully, no one loses their life, but Marco's father gets shot by a stray bullet, worsening his already critical condition. Upon hearing about his father's injury, Han is compelled to act. Nobleman steps in and urges him to transfer the $10 million. Han complies immediately, sending the money, while Nobleman assures him that Marco won't be harmed, and emphasizes his professionalism, and warns Han not to underestimate him. A gunfight ensues, and Nobleman skillfully eliminates Han's henchmen one by one. Han attempts to shoot Nobleman, but is wounded before he can do so. In an unexpected turn of events, Han tries to make amends, suggesting they talk and become friends. Seemingly uninterested in reconciliation, Nobleman mentions his inability to take Han to the airport due to his leg injury. Later, it is revealed that Marco's sister, Ga-young, had asked Nobleman to eliminate Marco, to prevent any future complications. At this moment, Nobleman discloses the shocking truth: Marco is not actually related to this family by blood. Everything, from Uncle Park's involvement, to the car crash with Yoon-ju, and the fabricated medical results, was orchestrated by Nobleman from the very beginning. The money involved in the case was meant to help Marco's mother undergo the crucial surgery she needs. Nobleman, who is also a Filipino, instructs Marco and his sister to leave and never return. They part ways, with Nobleman's leg injured, driving to the airport, while the family heads back to the Philippines. Later, Nobleman meets Marco after his mother's successful surgery. They shake hands as friends, and Nobleman embarks on new assignments. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.